Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I thought I would do a tag video, specifically my TBR, my to be read pile. I got the idea from Books and Lala's channel, although it's quite an older video, but she did this maybe a few years ago, and she got the original idea from a blog. And so I'll link her video because she has all the questions written out, and she also has the link to the original blog. So I thought I would get started right away with the first question, that is, how do you keep track of your TBR pile? So how do I keep track of my TBR pile? I use the website Library Thing. I am not on Goodreads. Library Thing and Goodreads came out around the same time, and I preferred the forums on Library Thing. I thought they were a little bit, to be honest, more intellectual, a little bit more book connected, while Goodreads felt more like a social website. And over the years, throughout the forums, I've connected with a lot of the members there and have had really just super intelligent conversations, and I've met quite a few of them in real life since then. So I use the website Library Thing, and basically I use tags. So all of my unread books are tagged unread, and then to differentiate the books that I have here in Japan and the books that I left behind in the US, the books here in Japan say in Tokyo. I also have a wish list. So basically my TBR pile is what I consider my physical books. So physical books that I actually own, that's the only thing that I consider TBR. A wish list is different. Books I intend to buy are not TBR for me. And books I intend on buying are on an Amazon wish list. And basically those are books that are basically under consideration. So I might not even buy them, but when I see an interesting book, I'll add it to the wish list. And then I'll quite often curate that wish list and remove books or add books. And basically it helps ensure that when I buy a book, it's a book that I actually want to read. So is my TBR mostly print or ebook? That's the second question. Print. All my books are in print. Third question, how do you determine which book from your TBR to read next? It's a feeling, it's a gut feeling, it's a mood. Sometimes books, there's a connection between the books. Maybe it's a time period, maybe it's a topic like war, perhaps it's something like a country, Japanese fiction. Oftentimes I'm also motivated by language. So if I'm reading in French, I'll probably read French books for a little while before switching over to English, or vice versa. So it's a feeling. It's just sometimes I'll be washing the dishes and I think to myself, I want to read that. And that's just what I do. Next question, a book that's been on your TBR list the longest. So here in Tokyo, so I've been in Tokyo for 5 years. So here in Tokyo, the book that's been on my wish list the longest is Alexandre Dumas' 20 ans après. And this book, if you'll see, I've already read 385 pages out of 930. So this is the second book in the Three Musketeers trilogy, and I've read the Three Musketeers, and I read the third book, Le Vicomte de Bragelonne, which is actually in the Folio Classique. It's actually 3 books for a total 2,700 pages. It's long, but it's fantastic. And the reason I skipped this one and read that one is because I was in France when I bought the Le Vicomte de Bragelonne, and it was tempting me so much, I just said, to hell with it, let's read it. And all the books actually work really well as a standalone, but in turn that means I skipped this one. And I did start reading this, but unfortunately I started reading it when I first came to Tokyo, and when I first came to Tokyo I wasn't reading at all. The first year I read 5 books total. I was just, excited by my new surroundings, my new environment, reading, doing a lot of Japanese. So I started this at the wrong time. So even though I was enjoying it, I never continued it. So I have to go back and decide whether I'm going to start from the beginning again or just continue from where I left off. In terms of the longest book on my TBR in the US, so in general, including the books that I have in the US, the book that I have, and so it's Carlos Fuentes. He's a Mexican author. It's his book Cambio de Piel, and I added that book to my TBR in 2007, which was when I was living in Argentina. So as I said in a recent video, ever since I left Argentina, I haven't been reading in Spanish. So that one's 2007. That one's been on there for a little while. Next question, a book you recently added to your pile. So I'm not going to go through the whole pile because I just did a book haul, but I did, I went to a French language book sale here in Tokyo, and then I bought all of these. So that includes Natsuo Kirino's Intrusion, Romain Gary, Le Vin des Morts, Akira Mizubayashi, Petit Éloge de l'Errance, Monstrueux by Natsuo Kirino, Texaco de Patrick Chamoiseau, and Retrato en Sepia by Isabel Allende. So those are the books that I most recently added to my TBR. Next question, a book in your TBR strictly because of its beautiful cover. So I wouldn't say it's strictly because of the beautiful cover, because this is an author that I do very much enjoy and have read several books. But when I bought it, I thought to myself, okay, I'm not planning on reading this author in a little bit, but the cover did draw me in, and that's The Samurai by Shusaku Endo. I just love this, so it came onto my TBR a little earlier than planned. Next question, a book on your TBR that you never plan on reading. So that sounds counterintuitive, but actually I do have 2 books. It's not that I don't plan on reading them, but the reason they're on my TBR is because they were given to me. So these were books, I didn't ask for them, they weren't on my radar, I have no idea what they're about, but they were given to me. So they're on my TBR. But because I didn't choose them myself, I'm less interested. One of them is an ARC I received from a friend called The People of Forever Are Not Afraid by Shani Bouyanju. And I don't know which country this takes place in, but it seems, let's see, there's a quote, I think I stayed inside the tear gas tent longer than any soldier has before. So, war book from a country I don't know. So, we'll see about that one. The second book is called Paysage d'hiver, Voyage en compagnie d'un sage by Christine Jordi. So French book, it takes place, on Jeju Island in Korea. So maybe I could read this. Maybe, we'll see. This actually could be an option. I'll read the blurb, but more or less, to be honest, I didn't have any intention of really reading this. So those are the 2 books here in Tokyo. In terms of in general, all the books that I own, including in the US, a book that I own in the US that I really don't plan on reading is, so the author Irène Nemirovsky, and it's her book Suite Française, which is about World War II. It's a book that was very much loved when it came out. It's on all these, must-read lists, and if you haven't read this, you're missing out. But it's a World War II book. Again, as I've mentioned in a previous video, I'm kind of over those. I'm done. So that's probably won't read that one. Next question, an unpublished book on your TBR that you are excited for. So I don't really keep track of new releases. I don't know what's going on in the publishing world. So if there is an unpublished book, it's more going to be manga. And so in, what month are we? We're in July. So in June, I read the first 5 books of this series, the Gokushifudo, which is a story about a former Yakuza who has turned into a house husband. And I just read all 5 of the first books, and they were so funny. I couldn't stop cackling, giggling, just like and the next book comes out in December. So I think this will be the book I'm in. This is the new release I'll be anticipating. Next question, a book on your TBR that basically everyone has read but you. And for me, that would be Como Agua para Chocolate by Laura Esquivel, which is, in English, it's called like Water for Chocolate. So when this came out a long time ago, once again, it made the rounds. Everyone loved it. It's still widely read now. And when it comes to Library Thing and all the forums, I think everyone I know personally on Library Thing has read this book. It's just one of those books. So I'll get to this. I plan on getting to this. It'll happen. I do really want to read it. So that's my shame book, I guess, if you want to call it that. Next book, a book on your TBR that everyone recommends to you. So for me, that would be Shusaku Endo's Silence. So you might ask, well, you know, you just said that Shusaku Endo's one of your favorite authors, that you've read a lot of his books. Yes, I have. But I have this weird thing with authors that I very often tend to start with their least famous books. So I haven't read his most famous book. So it's sort of a combination of, you know, wanting to keep the best for last. It's also a combination of the idea that originally I was like, well, maybe I should wait till my Japanese gets better to where I can read it in the original language. But Shusaku Endo, I think might be a little bit too difficult for me. I've never tried. So I probably will end up reading it in this copy that I own. But that's what has made me not read this yet. But the thing is that it's very exasperating because, you know, here in Japan, if I meet readers in Japan and they're asked, oh, what's your favorite author? And I say, you know, Shusaku Endo, Oe, Tanizaki, things like that. They're like, oh, have you read Silence? And I'm like, no, I haven't. So that's what this is. Next question, a book on your TBR that you are dying to read. Dying is a very strong word, but books that are in my heart, and I know I'm going to love these books, and I'm just saving them for when I need a pure adventure. That would be the continuation of the Lonesome Dove series. So I read Lonesome Dove last year. I read Dead Man's Walk a few months ago, and these are the remaining 2 books in the tetralogy. So, you know, I'm keeping these. Very excited. I mean, these are in my heart, though I know they're going to be good. And last question, how many books are on your TBR shelf? So in total, including the books in the US, I have 187 books. But in Tokyo, I have 114. So that seems like a large number. Maybe not to some of you guys, but for me, you know, 114 unread books is quite a bit. But I'm okay with that because they're divided within the languages that I read. So I have 2 books in Spanish, I have 49 books in French, and a lot of those books are actually, I've just bought the whole series, so like Zola, the Rougon-Macquart series, and then I pile up on Jules Verne, and I have a lot of Dumas. So those books were never intended to be read back to back. They're intended to where when I'm in France, I stock up on books, I bring them back, because I never know when my next trip will be. So I just bring them back, and that way they're there, and I know I always will have something good on my shelves. And then for English books, I have 36 English books, and that includes a good mix of nonfiction, Japanese books, American books, books from other countries. So it's a good mix that keeps things interesting. And then I have 26 books in Japanese. And even within those 26 books, there are some books that I actually did start, and I maybe got halfway through, but the difficulty level was a little bit too high at the time, so I put them aside. So yeah, I have actually been actively reading within that pile. I just haven't been able to finish some of them. So that's it. That's my TBR in general. That's how I organize things. That's how I deal with things. Those are the books I'm anticipating, not anticipating. And so for me, I don't think I'll ever be one of those person who only has 2 or 3 books on their TBR pile, because of my situation where I need access to, you know, multiple languages. This is the system that works for me. This is what keeps me knowing that I'll always have a good book on hand. So that's it. Thank you for watching this video. If any of you guys are watching and you want to tell me what's on your TBR pile, how many books do you have? Are you excited by them, or do you feel a little ashamed that you have so many or so little? Let me know, and we can have a conversation down below. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye.